visual aspect of comic books is perhaps the most defining element of the medium. The ability to utilize line work, spacing, and texture gives comic books a unique approach for presenting a narrative. However, perhaps the most useful visual element used by comic book artists is its color. This principle is expertly presented in Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This comic book series features the Romeo and Juliet-esque narrative of Alana and Marco, who struggle to raise their child Hazel, while fleeing from their long-warring races who seek to prosecute them for breeding with one another. Throughout the series, the background color is often manipulated in correspondence with events. During Alana's childbirth, for example, the background slowly transforms from brown to a light green. As life is brought into the room, the color of nature slowly permeates the background. This visual effect enhances the importance and beauty of Hazel's birth. Shift in background color within a single panel can also amplify the tone of events. In the image shown, as the attitude of Alana becomes more dire, with her predicting her baby will die soon, the background grows darker to express a sudden shift in mood within that one panel. However, choosing to have a single background color can have an equally powerful effect. Immediately following the sequence, the backdrop returns to a dull brown, making Marco, with his defined brown jacket, to pop out at the reader. This directs the reader's attention more towards Marco's emotions. Later in the issue, the background once again features green, albeit a more polluted shade. While this corresponds with the plot of the narrative, given that they're walking through a sewer, it also serves as a reminder of the rather toxic circumstances that Hazel was born into. In spite of this, the reader is given a sense of hope for Hazel. In the image, the dusty brown in the first panel gradually gives way to the relaxing white-blue of the last panel. The colors solidify the artwork's notion that Hazel's future is not confined to the unfortunate circumstances she faced as a child, and her future holds a universe of possibilities. Sometimes, the author may choose to eliminate the background altogether, to highlight the extreme isolation that Alana feels. As her husband lays lifeless on the ground, the background is blacked out. The effect evokes a sense of emptiness in the reader, since the image implies that there is nothing left but darkness in the world for Alana, thereby allowing the reader to better sympathize with her. Interestingly, changing the color from black to white has an entirely different effect. Whereas black produces an overlooming sense of dread, white acts to isolate a single instance in time. By having a neutral background, the reader's focus is directed at the action depicted. This effect can be used to glorify a physical feat, such as in that picture. Throughout the series, color also plays a major role in world building. Landfall is largely shown in marble white. The banal color scheme used to represent the planet reflects their uninspiring society, which features a rigid monarchy. Even the colors of the residents of Landfall adhere to this vanilla pattern. Another aspect of the coloring choice is that much of Landfall is well lit, which helps highlight its conflict with its rivaling moon, Wreath, which has little lighting in comparison. These differences in brightness draw out the differences of each planet, illustrating that the disagreement between the two worlds may run deeper than one might think. In addition to highlighting the identity of the planets, colors can be used to develop the identity of characters. Take, for instance, Gale, a member of the Secret Intelligence. His dark attire reflects the covert and perhaps morally compromising circumstances of his job. In order to further establish his character, the lighting in the panel darkens in his presence. As soon as he begins to debrief a mission in secret, the previously bright setting of the meeting gives way to a more shadowy backdrop. Since his character does not operate in the light, he appears as crooked and disreputable. When the Stalk, a freelance assassin, is first introduced to the audience immediately notices the contrast in her colors. The juxtaposition between the ghastly white of her skin and the stark blackness of her dress gives her an eerie beauty. Simultaneously, the white accentuates her eyes, whose blood-red color foreshadow her affinity for bloodshed. Both elements highlight her deadly nature. More generally, colors are used to differentiate major characters. Both Alana and Marco are represented by a distinct color. Alana can be easily distinguished by her bright green wings and hair, whereas Marco can be recognized by his orange shirt. At the beginning of the series, the vibrance of these colors reflect both parents' energy and enthusiasm for raising a child. However, as the parents come to the realization of their hardships, The change in mood is portrayed through the color tone becoming more muted. The brilliance used to express their overwhelming joy gives way to dimmer and more serious set of colors. Despite the shift, both characters still maintain their original color scheme. However, the distinctive coloring is not exclusive to the protagonist of the story. Prince Rabat IV, a major antagonist, is represented with an iconic light blue uniform. This coloring serves as an antithesis for the vibrant red commonly used to represent life. By associating a robot with blue, therefore depicting him as somewhat lifeless, Saga further alienates him from the audience. These noticeable colors of the main characters also help separate them from more expendable roles. Like many other minor characters, the soldier on the left of the prince is shown in ordinary colors. Their lackluster appearance helps prevent them from diverting attention away from the major elements of the novel. As observed, the color of comic book panels are critical in conveying mood and establishing a world for the reader. An effective use of color can influence a reader's psychology to interpret comics in a specific manner. Given Saga's complex setting and characters, coloring is expertly used to eliminate the need for providing lengthy context through words.